22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
Yes, 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 yes. Hey, Lorraine, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all
I see those guns are big, man.
What's happening? Let me get some light on here. Let me get some light. There we go. That's a little better. It's a little better. What's happening?
Nothing, man. Yo, I see you exercising. Damn, yes, I'm scared of you.
Trying to stay healthy. Trying to stay healthy.
I saw you and Keith Olsen going back and forth too. I was like, Keith better watch it.
You know, I mean, the sad thing about it is we have to have those conversations. You know, yeah. we need to have it more. Because there's, you know, how black and brown people see law enforcement and how law enforcement is used against black and brown people is totally different how is used against white folks. And white people have to admit that.
Yeah.
But, you know, until they're ready to, we'll continue. Hello, Cheryl. Hello, Lewis. I have no clue what AJ's at. This is the People Before Politics radio show. I don't know. I hope he's up.
Oh, snap.
What?
Oh, snap. Don't say that. He could be sleeping.
Well, I'll find out right now. I'll find out right now.
Who you got coming in?
How you doing, Dawn? How you doing, Dawn? How everybody's doing? Hope everybody having a great Sunday. Is everybody praying for the president?
Yo, that son of a bitch, you know what he just did?
What?
He got on the motorcade and did a circle around the hospital to wave at his fans.
He did what?
Yes, the fuck he did, with a mask on, waving at everybody.
Yo,
and then went back in.
He's a nut. I'm telling you, if him and Chris Christie survive this, they got a secret serum.
Well, he's gonna survive it.
If they
because Satan doesn't die. Satan don't die. But I don't know about Chris. I don't know. I don't know how he's doing.
I know we have two guests today. One of them, is Sochi Namika. I'm gonna let her pronounce it. I'm gonna let her pronounce her last name. She's the New York State Director of the Working Families Party.
Oh, cool. Oh.
Yeah, she's coming on. She should be logging in maybe about 10 minutes. So,
okay, cool.
And then AJ had another guest coming in later on at the end of the show.
No, that's me. That's me. I got Javon coming in.
Okay.
Javon Richards.
Javon, who? No?
Javon, yeah, Javon C. Richards. I guess that kahuna is Richard. It's see.
Okay.
Javon Richards. He's the yeah, this son of a gun got a lot of titles. He's the president of the New York State Young Dems. He's the chair of the Youth Caucus for New York State Dems. He's the new executive director of the Westchester Democratic Committee.
Okay. Oh, that's AJ. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm about to sign in now. I was just finishing a Zoom call. She had an exploratory committee.
All right. Sign in. All right. So he's calling in. He's about to come in.
I know we heard everything. Thank God he didn't say I just got out the bathroom.
I tried to just get him off. You're like, okay. She's talking about Facebook user. Oh, someone that's watching from one of the things. Well, anyway, so I can't. Oh, here he comes in. All right, there he is.
Yes.
Welcome, AJ. We missed you.
Yeah, I had a Zoom call meeting thing that I had to do. So I just stepped out. It's still going on. I stepped out just now.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So we have we were just talking about the guests that we have coming on today's show when they log in. And let me see. There you go. And then we was just having a small comment about our president.
Yes.
Keisha said if Lorraine Lopez was reading Jovan's bio.
So I'm actually, hey Keisha, actually, I was reading a list of the positions that he holds. There's about 10 of them.
No, it's good.
You know Javon. You remember Javon Damon, right? He was the brother that was
he's a mixologist
on
too.
the board. He was on the board a lot of times with the other guys when we would do VOX. We used to go. There was Bob
yeah.
He always spoke to both of us. Yeah, and then he was up at FAS and he worked with that girl that had us at Noelle that had us up on her show on FAS.
Yeah,
FAS. He worked with her too. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's been doing a lot. He's been doing a lot these last 6 years. He's been moving up a lot.
Hey man.
Yeah, he's a young man. I mean, I can't even imagine what he's gonna be when he's like my age, your age.
Listen, that's a beautiful thing, you know. It's definitely a beautiful thing to stay busy in the political arena of Westchester County.
Yeah, I was talking to him last night. He said he don't sleep. He don't sleep. He said.
You can't.
It's always good to see young people involved in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this would be a great show, man. This would be definitely a great show having. This definitely be a great show having them on. I think that's good, man. So people can actually see the difference. Because I always believe that we should have conversations and people should be exposed to different political platforms and political ideologies. Democrat, Republican, working family, independent. We used to have Doc on here all the time.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, Doc thought I was dead, and I outlived him. Oh my God, God rest his soul. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He actually
That's ironic, right?
He actually did say that on the show. He said, "Lorraine's still alive." He says, "Lorraine's still alive." He did say that on the show.
Oh God.
Doc,
sorry, Doc.
Doc is a comedian, man. He was a comedian.
Oh yeah, the first time I met Doc was the press conference that ended up being the first article in Black Westchester. It was right after the 4 Black parole officers, and Damien came and got me at the hospital, and I videotaped it for him. And Doc was there, and then he took me and Damien out to lunch. And I didn't know who this guy was just yet, but it was just like, it was like sitting across from Joe Pesci. That's all I kept, and I didn't know how I didn't know him well enough to joke with him yet. And I was like, this guy sound like Joe Pesci. Like that could have been a sore subject for him, so I didn't say it. But the whole time he was like, this effing guy here, and he sounds just like Joe Pesci. And he had jokes a mile a minute. And I was like, I'm glad I got to know him and pick his brain just a little. I wish I had done it more. You think people are gonna be here forever? I could have picked his brain a lot more. I had access to him, and he had a wealth of knowledge of the system, and and politics and stuff. So I'm glad I got to know him. When he came on our show, the first time he came on the show, oh my God, it was like we didn't stop laughing the whole show.
Yeah,
it was like we were laughing the whole show. And then at his next fundraiser, he was like, "Yeah, I was on these guys' show. Oh my God, it's a great show. You got to go." All these judges and congressional candidates was walking up to me. "Hey, I don't know you, but Doc said I need to come on your show. Here's my card." It was just like everybody came.
Yeah. You know what? They were so scared of him, all the elected officials. No lie, true story. One time I was in City Hall, Yonkers City Hall, right? There was a county legislator. Now, Doc used to get mad if you didn't show up to his fundraisers. And he used to threaten you.
Yes.
So he was having a conversation with a county legislator, right? White man.
Mm-hmm.
I went and I hid behind the door, and I could see him through the crack because the conversation was interesting. This county legislator got down on his knees and started begging him, "Please forgive me, please stop, grabbed his hand, kissed his ring, and begged him to please forgive me, please endorse me. And Doc basically told him to go F himself. It was hilarious. It was sad and hilarious at the same time.
After that first fundraiser, after the first fundraiser, after the regular people leave, and because of Damon, I got to be in that inner circle. We hang out for another hour in the back smoking cigars. You get to hear the real Doc. You get to hear he says all that stuff. Oh, that one didn't show up? Oh, okay. Wait till okay. And you would hear, oh my God, it was hilarious. And I meant to tell you, the only thing I left out. So after I sit with this guy and Damon's telling me about him, Damon sends me the link to an article, and it's like the most powerful man in Westchester. And I was like, oh God, that's the guy I was just sitting with. It was like, that was an article in Westchester Magazine or something.
Magazine. That's right.
Yeah, the most powerful man in Westchester. I was like, man, I was just sitting with this guy. I was telling my mom, this is the guy I was just sitting with. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. He didn't. He not.
that's what the article.
When I
worked
for 20 years for the Republican administration, they didn't get along with him. I was told I couldn't talk to him, but I used to hang with him when I used to go to fundraisers when the Republicans weren't there.
They tried to take over the party.
Well, I mean, the reason why
he won the lawsuit,
he was looked as the most powerful man in Westchester because there was a time that the Independence Party was the swing vote at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that the Independence Party voted in a block. If you got that line and either you was Republican or Democrat in the general election, you won, right? Because of the Independence Party vote. That's why, if you read if anybody reads the article, they pull up the article, it was the fact that Doc was the swing vote, in many other races because before Trump, right, the Westchester County was a more conservative. It was in the middle, even though Reggie used to say all that bullshit. Oh, there's more Democrats. Yes, there is more Democrats registered than Republicans, but there's a lot of conservative. There's a lot of conservative Democrats, and sometimes they swing over, right? And that's what happened when a lot of people saw when Astorino won, right? Astorino won, and part of that too was Andy Spano fatigue, right? Because he was just in office just too long, and he should have just bowed out, and they should have let somebody else won. But because of that, right, and because they understood that, it was a concentrated effort between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party to take the Independence Party out. And when they did what they did, having Republicans re-register as Independence Party members to literally try to take over the party, hundreds and hundreds of actual Republicans changing their registration to Independence Party to actually try to vote Dr. Cavallo out. And he stood up against that and went to court and kicked off hundreds of people off the Independence Party roll. Yo, he proved it in court. Yo, this dude understood election law. He was a genius at election law. I don't care what people say about him.
Yeah, he was powerful. He was powerful. And there was a time when the Independent Party was something, yes. Something. I mean, when I went
swing vote, they was a swing vote. If you had the independence, if you was in one of those cities or municipalities in Westchester County and that was close, that they could go either way, Republican or Democrat. If you had the Independence Party line, you damn sure won the election. And that made him. Huh?
That's how Paul Final won without having when the Democrats would give him the party and he kept winning. He had the Independence line.
He had the Independence Party line.
And the case you were talking about, that's the first time I heard the expression. The judge said it was political decapitation. I didn't know that was a term. When they was talking about that, they were trying to cut the head off. The judge called it political decapitation. I never forget that expression because I've never heard it since. That's what the judge called it.
And let's not forget, that was agreement, right? Democrats turned their head on it, right? And Republicans was down with it. Like that's the first time in New York where, first time it went public, right? That two major parties literally try to take out a minor party and try to discredit and try to discredit a minor party, right? When they did that to Dr. Cavallo, and he survived, that. He survived that, where the Democratic Party turned their head and whatever happened happened. Like they didn't jump up and defend and defend Cavallo what they did to the Independence Party. They just shut up and let Astorino. I mean, that was a deal. That was a deal between the Democrats and the Republican Party. I'm going to tell you that straight up, right? That was a deal between Reggie Lafayette and Doug Colte to take out the Independence Party, right? Because you got to remember at the time, Janet DeFiore didn't like Doc Cavallo. He used to call her all type of names publicly. So the acting DA didn't like her, didn't like him. Astorino. Listen, Astorino. So you got the Republican county exec not liking you. You got the Democrat district attorney not liking you, right? You got the Democrat chair and a Republican chair literally scared of you. It was a straight up political decapitation that they tried, and what the most thing that pissed me off, he didn't get no assistance from the state Independence Party. He did it all by himself, and other so-called friends that was his friend went running.
Right. Two other things.
Well, let me go ahead. Well, let me just say this. When I ran for city council, the incumbent got the Independent Party. And I registered a whole bunch of independents, and I beat him in the primary. So I did beat the Independent Party here in Yonkers when I ran. And that started my feud with the lady that used to be the chair. Well, I won't name because then she'll come after me. But we got a Wilson Pakula from him, and we beat the incumbent.
Two things I wanted to say, Damon. That's why they didn't want us to succeed with the Mount Vernon Independent, because we managed to get Janice Duarte in 2015, who did not make the Democratic ticket. She had switched a party or something in time. She didn't make it on the Democratic thing, and we got her over 1,000 votes in the general election. Just working her campaign from the September primary to the November election. We got her over 1,000 votes. She had more votes until the end, till the last votes came in. All night she had more votes than acting senator, Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson did as mayor. She had more votes than her, and she was an acting senator at the time. And the other thing I wanted to say, Damon, while they didn't succeed with Doc then, but what they did do, the Democrats and the Republicans, is up the numbers that you have to get every year, and they've upped it more than once. Where you have to. What is that? You was telling me about that. The numbers, you got to sign so many. You got to get so many numbers every year to stay on the ballot.
No, they didn't do that. They didn't. No, we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, before
they did it again now.
Let's bring in. Oh,
she's here.
Sister Sochi and because she's here, so we might as well bring. She was waiting patiently while we were discussing. Here she is. Welcome to the show. First time to the show. Hold on. Are you there? Can I hear you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh yes. Okay. Great.
Yes.
Please, sister, pronounce your last name. I don't want to mess it up.
I appreciate that. Sochi Nemeka.
Nemeka.
That's right.
And you are the New York representative for the Working Families Party, right? You're over New York State.
I am. Yes.
Oh, that's right. We got a sister. Listen, man. Listen. I wish I had.
I appreciate it.
That's pretty impressive. That's nice.
It's exciting. It is exciting. It's good to be home. It's good to be building in this moment where people are excited about politics, but also are recognizing how much elections matter in our lived experiences. And so we really want the party to be a place where people can come, talk about their values, vote together, do politics together, recruit their family members, community members, et cetera, to run for office, believe that we need to be representing ourselves in higher office and pushing an agenda that actually works for working people in the state.
Great. Thank you for coming on the show. We've been trying to get different parties on the show for a while. The only person that was, I don't know if you was listening to the conversation while you was, the only person that was brave enough to come on the show was Dr. Cavallo. God bless the dead. We could never get Reggie Lafayette to come on the show. We could never get Doug Colty wouldn't even touch a phone that had our number on it. So we but
he wouldn't know parts of us.
Yeah. Hey,
now you're nervous. I'm like, I said, now you're making me nervous.
I'm sorry. I still think of that. They were at some function, and Damon walked up to Doug Colty and said, "Let's take a picture together." And Doug was like, "Nothing good can come from this."
Yeah, but and I'm glad that you're on, because a lot of times we always hear about the two major parties, the Democrats and Republican Party, and especially in Westchester County. We do not often, and you're a Mount Vernon resident, correct?
I am.
That's
all right.
And it's a Mount Vernon, people that are listening from Mount Vernon. You have a working family party, the state that represents the state in your city. So you have an alternative.
Yes.
So let's talk about the minor parties.
Yeah.
Right. And how is it easy, or how hard it is to get people to understand that there are other parties that actually look out for their interests?
Yeah. I think what brought me into the party and what brought me into politics generally is that, I'm the daughter of Nigerian immigrants, right? I was born and raised in this country. My parents have probably definitely have been here longer than they lived back home, but did not consider this country their own, nor did they ever feel this country was fighting for them to consider it their own, right? And so for me, my coming into organizing politics was always about belonging, right? Is the group that I'm part of actually representing my interests? Am I able to shape or influence the agenda? I think in particular, we're seeing now Black women across the country. We know that Black women play a huge role in Democratic Party politics, yet have never really set the agenda. And so for me, I think fundamentally, we need political parties that are actually responsive to and led by those who are trying to shape this country to work for all of us, right? People of color, working people, young people, folks that the main two parties have not been fighting for, right? Have not been fighting to actually center or include. And so what's exciting about New York is that, one, this is now a Democratic trifecta state, right? The Republican Party doesn't really exist much in New York State, you can say. We're seeing the state Senate, Republican after Republican is retiring and empty seats are opening up. And so what does it mean to have a state run from the bottom down by Democrats? We're saying that's not enough to have a D by your name, right? It's not enough to be a Democrat. You have to center the things that actually matter to Democratic voters, right? Fully funded education, a real response to the climate crisis, saying actually and legislating that Black Lives Matter. And the WFP plays a role in pushing the Democratic Party in a much more progressive direction, and then creating a home for people who don't feel necessarily welcome or excited about Democratic politics, but coming to the party, being able to vote your values means that those who would otherwise be in the margins or on the sidelines are now pushing, campaigning, creating policy. So we play a really active role in ensuring that New York State doesn't leave any of our communities behind. And when you go to the ballot box, the two-party system basically makes it a, lesser of two evils. It's like, okay, there's this person, there's that person. That doesn't feel like choice, right? And so have a minor party where you can vote your values, even if the candidate appears on the same line, right? Appears on Democratic Party line and the Working Families Party line. You can vote for that person, but you do it with a message. You say, I'm voting to hold this person accountable for XYZ thing. And that's a real privilege and choice that not a lot of voters in this country have. We have it in New York State. We have to preserve that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I've actually made it my business in the last few elections to not vote all the candidates that I vote for when they appear on other lines other than the Democratic. I do not vote the Democratic line. I vote whatever other line they have, so they got working family, or they got independent or whatever. I would vote all, and I would do that all the way. Every now and then you have one candidate that you go to vote for that only had the Democratic line. You had to vote that line. But I've been, as a rule, since 2015, I have not voted, the Democratic line. I vote the other parties if I can.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And that's meaningful. And what we say to people is like, go to the Working Families Party line, vote down there. If no one's there, you can shuffle on over to the Democratic Party line, but you start on the Working Families column because you know that those candidates have been approved, vetted, and given a Working Families stamp of approval. And those are the candidates that we know will actually be working together to advance the interests of our communities.
So for people that don't know, what is the Working Family Party? What are you all about?
Yeah, so we were started here in New York in 1998. And so over the past 22 years, we've been building an independent, progressive, multiracial party of working people, and that centers working people's agendas. And that means good transportation. That means we passed the first millionaire's tax to actually fund education, fund programs. We passed the first paid sick leave bill and increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, right? We're fighting right now for increased tenant protections. In 2019, we were a critical force in removing the IDC, right? Those Democrats who were hanging out up in Albany with the Republicans, stymieing progress, right? To get rid of the IDC, and then that unleashed a whole wave of new things, from criminal justice reforms to tenant protections to a climate bill. And so we see our role as galvanizing working people's interests, right? Building a real base of young people and working people, retired folks, that people who are really understanding that the state needs to be accountable to our communities, not to corporate interests. That's what our political party is about. Electing progressive champions so we can actually deliver meaningful change that people can see and feel in their lives.
Back in the days, the Working Families, I used to see it as the Working Family were a lot of union members. Is that still the case?
We're a mix. We're community groups, union members, individual activists. So we're kind of a coalition party, right? So for example, if you're a nurse, if you're a member of NISNA, the nurses union, you're a member of the Working Families Party because the nurses are a member of our party. If you are in Yonkers and you're a member of Community Voices Heard Power, right? You are part of the Working Families Party. So you have a way for people who are doing things in their community to translate that energy into political power, into electoral power. And so we consider ourselves the political party of those organizations, and then thousands of individual activists across the state.
So what is your take on what's they're discussing now in increasing the number in the governor's election to have a state party from 50,000 to 150,000? Personally, I view it as a slap in the face, and it's kind of like, obstruction of democracy to try to increase that all of a sudden out of the blue. What is your take on that, representing one of the minor parties that will be affected, if they move this up another 100,000 votes?
So they did in April. They did. So they snuck it into the budget overnight in April.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
In the middle of the pandemic. Yeah. And basically increased, as you said, from 50,000 votes every 4 years to 130,000 or 2%, whichever is higher, every 2 years. And so the first contest right now is this month, right? Before this general election, we are all facing a much higher threshold to qualify as a party. So we're right now, the WP is trying to mobilize the hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers to vote on our line, to vote for president. We've endorsed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, knowing that we have to do everything that we need to do to defeat Trump. And we also need to make sure we push them starting day one to ensure that they move our country in the direction that we all need. And so we're urging New Yorkers to vote on our line for president. And that gives us the votes necessary to ensure that we have our ballot line. We can still continue to fight. Basically, I feel like it was an unnecessary change that was a reflection of political power that was existing outside the Democratic Party that some folks maybe feel uncomfortable about, right? That's what politics is about. We create a little bit of a threat. And this is meant to make it harder for us to operate. But we know that so many New Yorkers support our agenda. We know that voters are looking for a way right now to actually have a choice in this option, right? To really signal that as we're facing a really hard crisis, we're coming out of the unparalleled crisis of our generation, that politics play a big role in getting us out of it and ensuring we actually all can recover. And so our ballot line is a place where people can vote, vote for the front lines, right? Vote against austerity and actually demand that Albany responds and answers to all of us. So that's this year, this November. It's essential that folks vote on the Working Families Party line.
So well, I'm glad to hear y'all got the presidential. Y'all will definitely get my vote on that one.
Yeah.
Anytime I can not vote the Democratic line and vote one of the other lines, I do it. So you got my vote.
I really didn't think that these knuckleheads will pass that. Like
that's what I was talking about.
Right, because when you were saying it, I was like, nah, they ain't past that, man.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So every 2 years. So it's every 2 and every 4.
So every 2 years now. So president this year and 2 years gubernatorial, and then president the 2 years after, and the 2 years after gubernatorial.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So we're gonna make sure Black Westchester, any state representative, and this is probably, we won't see many state representatives on the show from now on, right? I'm going to ask them, why did they do it? Right? I'm gonna, and if you are a Democrat in Westchester County and you come on, I'm gonna ask, do you support that? Right? I'm going to continue. That is going to be my question of any Democrat or Republican, especially Democrats that come on the show. So, Sochi, now you're going to see why a lot of people are scared to come on the show.
I know, right? I'm like, Damon's going to ask you some questions when you get.
Okay, but who proposed that?
Well, so it came out of this commission that was created by the governor 2 years ago now. That was supposed to be looking at campaign finance, so they're not connected to each other.
Background noise.
Wait, we can't hear him.
Okay, go ahead.
So this commission proposed this, a commission that was not elected or as appointed members, who proposed it in December. And we filed a lawsuit and was victorious in our lawsuit. This was an unconstitutional delegation of authority, right? So the courts sided with us in February. In the middle of the pandemic, as you may all remember, they were rushing to get the budget together. And this was slipped in to the budget at the last minute. And so a lot of elected officials, right, who were saying that they were against this, they know that voters want more choice, not less, right? They don't want fewer political options. It was put in a pandemic budget that people were forced to vote up or down, and voting down would mean voting down for money for health workers, down for schools, et cetera. So it was really an impossible bind for people. And we thought fundamentally as the party that we needed to figure out how to both fight it in court and then just mobilize as many New Yorkers to the ballot box. Like that was where the real fight needed to happen, was right now with New Yorkers coming together and saying, we need our political parties. We need more option in New York State in this moment.
Do you know what Andrea's opinion was on this?
So, I mean, in conversation, she's supportive of the party. I mean, the party has played a really important role in strengthening the Democratic conference, right? The IDC that we talked about before was directly undermining the power and the leadership of the Democrats and of Senator Cousins in particular. And so we've had a good working relationship when it comes to political power. We may be on different sides when it comes to certain legislative issues. The party right now, for example, is really pushing to ensure that we tax the ultra wealthy in this moment, right? When so many folks are suffering in this crisis. But fundamentally, many voters who don't consider themselves Democrats, don't consider themselves Republicans, will vote on the Working Families Party line, and that often helps Democrats. And so there is, like, we have a collaborative relationship when it's in the interests of, shared values, and then we play a role and create some amount of tension to ensure that the Democratic leadership supports issues that matter to working people.
Now I don't. Now, Sochi, I don't know if you can respond to this question, but
Uh-oh.
But you're going to ask it anyway.
yeah,
Uh-oh.
I am because I spoke on it a while back, but there was from attending some different functions, some very progressive functions down at 1199, and there was some tension between Governor Cuomo and the Working Families Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of things going on around his race, and I'm not surprised that after he won, this has come up to increase because there was a lot of talk that there was tension, and he created what was the Woman Equality Party? Like he created that party. Like everybody that knows that really are a student of politics in New York, that he created the party, and that party also weakened a lot of the minor parties, and it definitely weakened the Independence Party that year, when he brought on the Women's Equality Party. So that I mean, there's really no love with our governor, who's a Democrat, with minor parties. I don't know if that's a question or a statement.
You made a statement. I can nod my head and affirm. It's true. I mean, there's no doubt that we've had history on the other side of the governor on the issues, right? But when I came into the party, I'm like, this is not about some interpersonal dynamic. For me, it's like, what is the issue? How are we going to move the state forward? Are we going to do that or not? Are we going to make sure we have the revenue that we need to open our schools, right? In Rochester and places across the state, we have drastically, underfunded schools, and that is about the governor's lack of will to invest in that kind of way. In these protests earlier this year, we saw both, the governor and the mayor speaking, with kind of giving impunity to the police officers who are roughing up protesters, right? Like, we stay on the opposite sides when it comes to the issues, and when we're pushed on the issues and we're winning, we see that it creates a threat and it creates tension, and the governor is very powerful and he's able to strike back. I can't speak to his intent, right, or his psychological profile, but it is very we're pushing, we're creating some amount of disruption, and we're trying to deliver a state that actually works for all people here. And there are special interests, there are establishment figures who don't like that, and so
Absolutely. We're victims of that. So we know first we know firsthand when you ruffle up the establishment, they push back in ways, and then you just have to regroup. But I definitely I'm definitely happy. Wait, hold on. Latanya says the Women Equality Party usurping other political parties that benefit people of color, and our movement is nothing new. The women's rights movement was a direct challenge to the civil rights movement that sought to divide women of color from our movement.
Yeah.
What's up, Sister Latanya? Thank you for watching.
No,
and yeah, I mean, we got it's a constant fight. It's a constant struggle, but we continue to have to do it. I'm very upset that they passed it. I really didn't know, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, this year, obviously, how much has happened this year, right? We're all reacting. This world has changed so quickly. And so I'm not surprised maybe that you maybe didn't know about it, but now we're just urging people to vote, right? To get out to vote and vote your values in this moment. Go on the Working Families Party line and join. I'm so excited to be in a political party where my values don't have to be disconnected from a plan to win, right? Democrats say they value the things that matter to all of us, but yet they appeal to moderates or corporate interest or whatever in their strategy. We need some political parties and some homes where we can be our true selves and actually have a path to win. And that's what we're building. We have new leaders now where I grew up, like Jamal Bowman is our congressperson, right? That is meaningful, transformative change. He's going to change this country from this seat right here in Westchester. Mondaire Jones, just a little bit further up. What does it mean to have this new Black leadership coming from right here in New York State, completely shifting this entire country forward. This is the moment that we're in, and that's what the Working Families Party is supporting. We support folks that the Democratic establishment tells to sit down, wait your turn, you can't win. We see that. We see further ahead, and we take some risk because it does pay off.
Now, does the Working Families Party work behind the scenes in Democratic primaries?
Yes.
I just wanted you to say yes.
Yeah, because we think it's so important to have the most progressive Democrat come out of the primary, right? So if the main contest in New York State happens in the Democratic primary, there's an opportunity to actually push forward the best candidate. And sometimes in many places, right, like here in CD16, right, the race is up after the primary. So that becomes a real site of struggle. And so in this contest with Elliot Engel versus Jamal Bowman, we were 150% behind Jamal Bowman early and did everything we could to mobilize our folks for him.
I think that has been the biggest difference in with the Working Families Party and a lot of and all the other minor parties in Westchester. I know that the Independence Party in the 5 boroughs, they were separate from the state because you had Dr. Lenore Fulani and other people, and they worked in the primaries. They made sure that the disenfranchised people that didn't identify with the Democratic Party in the 5 boroughs, followed their lead on who to go to in the Democratic primaries, and I saw that from the Working Families Party, in this primary, how they were out there on the ground, pushing who they wanted, and that's great. I mean, look, that's great strategy because I've seen it with Fulani, right? She's one of my mentors, so I learned a lot, from Dr. Lenore Fulani, dealing with minor parties. So that's the first time I seen it in Westchester, right? I always see it and I used to wonder with the Independence Party, I'm like, yo, y'all don't, Doc had his own way of doing things, but I always thought, in the primaries that, should be more ground roots involvement, with the minor parties, with those that maybe didn't want to join the party, but still understood the values and understood, and you had a voice with them, and I saw that with the Jamal Bowman and the Margaret Jones election, and which the establishment, got blown away.
Absolutely. That was a real coalition. They won pretty definitively, right? It was not a squeaker. It was a real, it was by building a broad base of supporters and speaking with the same message to everyone. I think that was what moved me so much, especially living in this district. I'd get mailers from our incumbent that were targeted to me, I guess, a young Black woman, maybe, and see my neighbors. I live in a co-op building. My white neighbors getting a different piece of mail with a different message, right? Jamal Bowman had the same message for every voter, whether you were in the Bronx or in Westchester. The vision was the same. That's what our politics needs to be about. We can't be dividing and conquering people. That's not a winning strategy.
Right. Yeah. Look, listen, I was at a fundraiser. When was it, AJ? 2 Saturdays ago? Last week.
Saturday was past.
Yeah, with Jamal, and we had a great conversation. He's a great guy, and we just saw.
Yeah, he is.
We just saw a tweet from Jamal in support of Mount Vernon whistleblower officer Bovell, who 28 hours with the tapes, and nothing has been done. He's the only elected official that announced his support of Officer Bovell and for Scarpino to remove himself from the case, and I think that's very powerful. That's powerful because not Democrats, and I'm not dogging Democrats, but Democrats say they support for police reform, but nobody has stood up in support of this officer who actually did what he was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And that's great, and that's the change that we need, right? That's what we need from our bully pulpits, for elected officials to say what's right, when it's right, and say what's wrong when it's wrong.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
That's why the incumbent had to go.
Black Westchester had answered his tweet and applauded him for speaking up and calling out why he's the only elected, why no other elected official, locally, countywide, anywhere has spoken about the situation. No elected official, none.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a real shame.
Go ahead, Lorraine.
Can I ask you two? Scarpino or Mimi and Hartman or Astorino?
So we supported Mimi Roca in the primary, right? She had the most, she had a really good vision. We knew that even before these tapes came out, there's a lot of mess happening in the Westchester DA's office, right? And sadly, I live in the Mecca, right? I live in the capital of that mess right now. So that change needs to happen. And then we're supporting Pete Harcum, who's really been a champion up in Albany, has really been pushing things on education, healthcare. Like he's a really great legislator, and we're supporting him. We've been doing phone banking for him, doing a fundraising for him, etc. We really need him to get back up there and get back to work. There's a lot of work. We're going to be facing a budget like we've never seen before next year. We know what austerity does to our people. Austerity is violence. Austerity is lack of food, lack of resources. And we need to make sure people go back there and figure out how to get increased revenue to our state. And Pete Harcum is going to be a key player in that.
Yeah, I think, that's Astorino's trying to make the comeback, right, against Harcum. Yeah. I have something for Astorino in the works, and because he used to be the county exec, in which he used to be my boss, and he was one of the most racist county execs that we had, and he literally, and I'll make it quick and let the working family, let the people that you run understand this. There was a Black officer who got hurt in saving another officer's life. And he was retired under 207C. That's the disability that law enforcement gets. But because of a loophole in the policy, in the healthcare policy of the county, he lost his healthcare. So we didn't understand how a guy that can get retired on 207C loses health care. So in the process of finding things out, it was an easy fix. It was an easy fix, and Astorino refused to do it. And we campaigned very hard on him not taking care of this officer. And then right before the election, he negotiated it. He made a deal with the union president, negotiated that they'll get the health care, but he did it for the white officer and not for the Black one. So we really went at him hard, and I think we're going to reach out to Harcum's office and remind the people of what he did to Officer Maxwell, that Maxwell had to fight over 8 years to get his health care. And he didn't get his health care until Lattimore came in. That was one of the first things that Lattimore did, was to make sure that this officer who got hurt saving another officer's life got his actual county health care. And now he has the nerve to run. Like, it's like crazy. Like, you think people forgot all the nastiness that she done, even outside being a Republican, right? But he was just horrible to the workers, and he also lowered officers' wages. He ran on lowering wages of hardworking union members, and it's hard as hell to live in Westchester. I live in Middletown now because it's even with the money I make, it's hard to live in Westchester County and we got it with the COVID, but you got to understand, like, people have to live, and when you make deals with business organizations to lower our wages, it's really crazy.
We need to support Harcum there. Astorino has a name that people are familiar with and is fundraising. So folks really need to phone call, do whatever they can for Pete Harcum, and make sure, and exactly, push shelters and mental health facilities. Absolutely. That was a big thing, the budget cuts on the back of working people. So that's a no-go.
I didn't know that neither. That's another thing we could discuss. When you're talking public safety, you're talking with the issues of mental health facilities and even shelter. That affects the public safety in communities of color and poor communities, as well. So I mean, to send him back to Albany is a no. Is a no.
And not only that, he's a little bitch.
What?
Seriously, he is. He's one of the ones like for example, I tried to sell a mask for Black Westchester, and he had like 3 people tell me that no, because I talk shit about him. Like, yeah.
For people just seeing this for the first time, they're not, we try to educate people and everything. If they wanted to know more about the Work and Family Party website, how do they do that? Where would they read that, or where would they go to?
Absolutely. You can go to votewfp.org, and that's where we have a lot of information about the general election. It'll be a sample ballot, ways for you to get involved. So that's votewfp.org. And then workingfamilies.org is our national website, has all of our information. You can follow us on Twitter at NYWFP. We're on Facebook at New York Working Families Party. And, I would give you my email address, but I'm not sure how many people are on. So conversations. I know I've gone bad about that. My team will be like, no, don't do that. But I love having conversations with voters everywhere, having meetings, get-togethers. When all of this loosens up, we have lots of great town halls and webinars and stuff online. But check out the website, votewfp.org, and get involved. I want to hear, what do you want as a political party, right? What would make you excited about participating in politics? Or where do you think the gap is in responding to the crisis that we're in? We are really a popular popular party, right? Where it's really about the people driving the agenda. And so I'm hungry for that energy and for people's, vision about where our state should be.
What do you think about, we talk a lot on the show about the need, like they don't teach civics in school.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have a lot of adults that don't understand, so they can't even teach their kids. Mm-hmm. And the need to teach civics in school and to our community. What do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, that's hugely important, right? People need to understand how power works, right? How they can participate in our democracy, right? It's not a coincidence that we're not taught civics in school, right? It's very much designed to not give us pathways to participation. And so we do, it's funny, it's like, I guess we can think of it as remedial civics education in some ways, right? Where we talk about how are these things related. When we're thinking about the COVID crisis, we did a teach-in with people about our healthcare system and how that's connected, and why did our hospitals fail, and what does essential work really mean, and who benefits from it and who's left behind by it. When people were talking about defund NYPD, we had a teach-in about understanding the roots of community safety versus policing. When is policing harmful? What are real alternatives to a harmful police system? When we're talking about abolition, right? What does that mean? It means redistributing, moving money from bloated police budgets and putting it into things that we know actually make people safe, like mental health care, like domestic violence responses. So we think it's up to us, if we want informed voters, to give people the skills and give people the worldview to help make those decisions.
Is there anything we haven't asked you that you want to let people know about? Somebody asked us their Work and Family Party in Rockland County.
There is. We have Westchester and Rockland chapter. Anyone who wants to get involved, you can find me on Facebook and send me a message there. I'm more than happy to connect you into our group. Right now, people are trying to form a CD16 Working Families Party chapter, so that would not be where LaTanya is. But people, it's grassroots led, so people spin up chapters and clubs, and they're like, we're Working Families Party, Ulster County, and then they get together that way. But we do have a crew of people in Rockland County that I'm happy to connect folks to. People can look online for information. David Schwartz is still fighting. How do they learn about local WP? David Schwartz is a Westchester leader of the Working Families Party, a founding member, and has really been holding down the Westchester chapter. And we need to invigorate that. We need a lot more energy in that chapter and across the state, right? Having people really do politics together. So I would say, I want to urge people to vote and to understand the role that fusion, right, plays in New York State. It means that you can vote for someone on the Working Families Party line, and that vote still adds up to their total. So if you're voting for Biden, Kamala Harris, you're not spoiling. You're not
exactly.
It's additive, and that's really important. It means that you can vote your values and not spoil in an election. And so we're urging people, whenever you see a Working Families Party candidate, in particular this year on the presidential line, to vote Working Families Party.
I don't know if this is probably even relevant anymore because of the fact they increased the numbers of the minor parties. But I know for a while there was a big push to have open primaries. And especially in New York State, I know Dr. Fulani and different people from the city were big, and even Schumer had came out with an op-ed at one time in supporting open primaries. As is the Working Family Party in that position too, that it should be open primaries?
I mean, right now we're basically in a one-party state.
Right, exactly.
So we need to figure out a way to invigorate people's participation in all sorts of ways, right? So New York City this year is experimenting with ranked choice voting for city elections, right? You order your candidates in order of preference. You're not just choosing one. You're saying, this is my number one, this is my number two, etc.
You're right.
We have to figure out new ways to get people involved. Absentee voting early. Like, those are not things that we should just be figuring out now in 2020, right? We need to figure out ways for people to be able to vote, where they work, maybe lowering the voting age to 16, letting non-citizens vote, right? What are the different ways, if you have residency, what are the different ways that we actually can get people to feel active in our democracy? We should not be having rigid structures in this moment, especially when voter participation is so low. Like 30% of Americans regularly vote. That is not actually when we create a robust democracy. And so we have to figure out all of the ways to reinvigorate. Minor parties play that role, ranked choice, multi-member districts, are all sorts of cool democracy tools people are exploring, that there's no reason why we're relying on the same tricks we've been using for the past 200 years.
Right.
What's funny when you said a one-party state, it's the government that breaks up companies that when they become monopolies, and the Democratic Party has become the monopoly. If it was a company, they would break this up because they would be a monopoly.
But you know what? And to be honest about that, I think that after we get past this Trump era, especially here in Westchester, because Westchester is very conservative. Like, people don't really understand, right? They're very conservative. I think after we get past this embarrassment of Trump, right, and it gets behind us, I think people are gonna start going in their own corners again. Right. And then we're gonna be back in actually politically, fighting for things, because sooner or later that stigma that Trump has put on the Republican Party is gonna wear off, right? And then what do we do? Because people didn't think Astorino was going to win. Right. And I remember, people and I'll be honest, we supported Astorino because Spano didn't give us no raise. Right.
I knew Astorino was going.
And you're right. And a lot of people supported Astorino when he came in, But then then he jumped on the Trump bandwagon and just went cuckoo. We was like, dude, like, who is this guy, right? But once the whole Trump stigma wears off, you know, it still has to be a plan. Like we can't take it for granted that, you know, these people that were usually in the middle and they were going Republican in Westchester, but now because of the embarrassment from the White House, you're right, they're going Democrat. You know, when all this is over, they're going to go back in their corner. Lorraine?
Yeah, I know. I raised because I'm one of them. I was a Republican for 20 years, and then damn Trump, and now I didn't have a choice. I had to change. I couldn't. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If when all these congressmen, when they're gone too, because they're old, you know, when they're gone, and we got these new younger Republicans, more moderate Republicans like I was, I hope to see the Republican Party reinvent itself. And if it does, because I do believe in a lot of its philosophy, there's a chance I might go back.
We're gonna come get you, Lorraine. I'm gonna find out where you are. Before you consider that, we'll have a talk. We'll discuss that. I'm gonna fight for your membership first. It's true. Past 4 years where people, you know, we're only talking about what they're against, not what they're for. And the Democrats, like, you have to be talking to people about what is your vision, what do you actually want, not just who's our common enemy. And so after Trump, like, inshallah, like, Trump is going to be out in a couple of weeks. We need that to happen. And we have to really get back to our vision. Okay, now that we're governing, now that non-Republicans are governing, where are we actually going and who's coming with us? Those are the conversations we need to be having, because we're not going to have the boogeyman of Trump anymore that will align and kind of have people close ranks. That era will be gone.
Soshi, did you say inshallah?
I did. Did I say that? I did.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Yeah, you're my girl. You're welcome on the show. Because usually political people don't say inshallah. You know,
what does that mean? Wait, what does it mean?
In the
God willing, in Arabic, God willing.
Yes.
Oh, you said, Allah. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, much respect. Definitely.
Much respect.
I caught that. You know, I'm just saying. Some people don't, you know, some people don't know, but I caught that and much respect with that. But that blew my mind, and that's great. That means that you get what's going on, and that's good, you know, and that's definitely good. With the Working Families Party, right? When in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, and in support of police reform, when we had I don't know if you saw it, but I will definitely get you the link where we had the 2 runner-ups for the Democratic chair of Westchester County. We had them on the show. One will probably come back, one probably won't. But our whole AJ's laughing. What was crazy? Now, I've been in law enforcement for 30 years, and we've been Black Westchester was founded. Our first article that we did was on 4 Black parole officers who was pulled over in Rockland County, had guns pulled out on them, and yada yada yada. We never seen political heads open in support against police brutality. Maybe now, after the whole George Floyd thing, and I mean, sometimes it's chic, it's political chic, but Westchester County has its own George Floyds, right? And before there was a George Floyd, and we had
Mount Vernon too.
Mount Vernon. Well, every major, to be honest, every major city in Westchester County has a George Floyd, right? We want to make it simple, and as I said before, the tweet from Jamal is the first time an elected official actually was vocal on issues of possible police criminality. Is the Working Families Party, are they taking a more vocal stance on that? Because I think that's what's needed. It's really needed, because a lot of the victims in Westchester County, which I have an unfortunate pleasure to work hand in hand with, and be with a lot of these families. They do not get the necessary support from those in power that control legislation, for accountability. I just want to say that.
Absolutely. No, I'm proud. I looked at the tweet while you were talking, the Jamal's tweet. I'm proud about that. And what was so meaningful too, when after George Floyd, the tape was revealed, and Jamal's still campaigning. It is a big difference as when you're talking to Black voters, when you're talking to folks, and you don't have to translate to the person coming to your vote about what it means like to be brutalized or scared of the police, right? We need more legislators who just have lived experience and clarity about what people are going through, because that will affect how they legislate and lead. The party is unequivocally on the side of Black lives. It's not a tagline. It's not that we're going to brand our merchandise. No, up and down is both in terms of Black leadership, that is important. It is in terms of budgets, right? Because budgets are moral documents, and budgets are single-handedly responsible for holding back a lot of Black communities, and also giving a lot of impunity to police departments, right? There are bloated budgets. We can say there might be a role for policing to play, but we need to reduce the size, the scope, and the reach of police departments if we actually think that Black Lives Matter and that Black communities need to be safe. We have to reinvest it in things that actually keep Black communities thriving: good schools, job supports, mental health supports, domestic violence, all of the things that we know that the police should not be responding to. We need to create the right institutions for that. And the party is 100% on that program. At the national level, we started something called the WFP Justice Fund, which is a PAC that supports local electeds who are running on a strong Black Lives Matter platform, right? So it sends money and dollars to those local electeds who will be candidates championing racial equality in real ways. And so we think we have to put our money, our program, our resources where it matters. We can't just, show up in kente cloth and take the shade of anyone. But that is not actually the response to the crisis that we're in. And so we are building a party that will actually meet the moment that we're in right now.
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah, whatever we can do, and we're making this public because a lot of people watch our show when we're not live, so we can't see that they're watching. So whatever we can do, from Black Westchester magazine and our platform, whatever we can do through organization I belong to, Blacks in Law Enforcement of America, or the National Association of Blacks in Criminal Justice, whatever we could do to assist the Working Families Party in their reform efforts, of the political structure and in the criminal justice. I'm currently on the reform panel for the county exec, and we're doing, and I think we're going to have a great product once it's published. I think I'm on the policy and procedures committee, and I think we're gonna create a great product. We're definitely. I think people will be proud of George. That the product that's going to come out of this committee. I don't know if you know Mayo Bartlett. He's local civil rights attorney, defense attorney. That's someone you need to talk to too, right? You know, those are people. Kenneth Chamberlain Jr., the Westchester Coalition of Police Reform. Those are the people definitely you guys need to talk to. And Latanya Baptiste Young, who's watching, who's out in Rockland County. That's someone you need to definitely need to contact with her. She's a wealth of information and she's a good person to know and a good lawyer. Definitely. Right. So you listen, we could continue to talk because the guest, he's not here yet. So we could just continue till
I wanted to add too, we want you to know that you have an open door. This is not, I don't want this to be the last time you come on the show. When you have something to say, you let us know. And also, I mean, I don't know how you feel about writing, but if you just have the urge to want to write something to educate people about voting or civics or speak to a certain issue of our political system, I'm always looking for contributing writers to write editorials on. Especially, we have to use this to educate as much as possible. You know, we expose corruption and hold people's feet to the fire. But one of the main things we started this for, and the radio show as well, is to educate our listeners and our viewers, make more informed voters and let people know what their rights are and what power they do have, because the people with the power don't tell them this. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people feel powerless. And there used to be a show that I used to like to watch called Leverage. And it was like all the corporation people have the power. And this was a group of people, they were ex-cons and con art and all this stuff, but they would provide the leverage from the regular person to these big people, these big corporations. I think we are that leverage for people.
I like that. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Sorry, AJ.
No, go ahead.
Who's the county? Who's the county chair and the Yonkers chair? The working families.
Oh, so we don't have we're not structured in that kind of way. We don't we have chapters and we have clubs, and then we have a state committee that's statewide, and that's how the structured. So we don't have county. We don't have leaders in that kind of way.
Oh, okay.
So what she's saying, Lorraine, before you go back to the Republican Party, she's going to be looking forward. She's going to be looking to you to lead the Yonkers chapter. That's what she's telling you.
No, let me tell you, I'm very familiar with a lot of the working families people. I've been working with them for many, like over 20 years here in Yonkers and in Westchester. I just wanted to know whether the same people were still involved and stuff like that. But we'll talk offline.
Let's do that.
Is Andy Folk still? That's his last name. Still
Andy. That was like
he's been on. I was trying to say that earlier, but at the point, all three of us were talking at the time. He also has come on. The only other person other than Doc to represent a party on the show.
It's Andy,
and he actually a couple of times when Damon couldn't be here, he came and co-hosted the show. Yeah, he co-hosted with us. He loves the show. He came down. He had a great time.
Give Andy my love, man. When he came on the show, he used to piss Lyndon Williams off. I never understood. I never understood why. Like, Lyndon would be so upset that Andy was on the show. I mean, like, yo, dude, like, it's our show. You can't comes on our show, but and Andy was always a friend of the show. And he used to come on and give his analogy of what's going on. And I talked to him a while. I think he was working for last time he was working, I think in Albany. The last time I talked to him.
He was working for Cahill, but yeah.
Yeah. That's the last time I really had a talk with Andy. He was trying to get me to interview for some jail up here, something. I was like, nah, I'm not going nowhere right now, you know. But he's a good dude. He's a very good dude. He has a warm heart, and he believes in the people and in the people having power. You know, definitely.
And he's not afraid to say it. He definitely fits in perfect with us. He says what he says what needs to be said, boy. He is not afraid to say it.
Andy would piss people off, but it just be funny because I get, you know, I'm not on the show. I'm doing whatever I'm doing, you know, and I get text messages. Where's Andy? And I'd be like, yo, hey, listen, you know, that's how he feels. Respect it, you know.
He is. He speaks truth to power. He organizes, brings people in. He's good. He's good people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you work with folks like Lupacani?
I don't. Tell me.
Lupacani Union, Teamsters, editorial, AFL-CIO.
There are there are a lot of folks I may not have met yet in my tenure, but yeah, we do work with Teamsters. We work with like the Hudson Valley Area Labor Federation, so all of the kind of Westchester and Hudson.
Oh, that would be all of them. Yeah. Okay.
And so we do work there. Our one of our officers actually works for the Hudson Valley Area Labor Federation. Sandy Oxford is an elected officer of the Working Families Party here.
Sophie, I just got a text. You have to hop off. You have a call. I got somebody text me.
My cousin.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, let me pour myself a glass of wine, just hang
out. You're welcome. Listen, you're welcome back.
Anytime.
I understand you're a busy lady, and I got the text that
I know my husband like saying that my kid is my turn to turn. Texting you, I'm coming.
Last words as you leave.
Leave us. I do want to say thank you all so much. This is so much fun. I want to do this again.
Absolutely, please.
And Black Westchester needs to turn out. We really want people to vote on our line this fall, and then to continue to build with us. Right, as we said, after Election Day, it's not the end of our movement. Right, even if Biden and Kamala Harris wins, we know we still have a lot of work to do to shape this in a different way. And so come join the party, help us do that together. But really excited to just build and be in solidarity with all of y'all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You for coming, and you're welcome. Anytime. The person that texts me, they could just set up any time, and you're welcome. You're welcome on the show. We'll our doors are open.
And you can get my contact information. It was a pleasure to meet you. You can get my contact information from Damon as far as any editorials, anything.
Yes, I'll send that out. And anybody wants to write anything about what's going on and from the Working Families Party, please send it to us, and we'll get it up online and in the paper.
We'll do that. Okay. Be well. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
All right.
You too.
Bye. You
too. And without further ado, it's the hardest working man in the Young Democrats. My brother Javon, what's up, man? How you, brother?
How are you guys? Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Yes.
AJ.
I was reminding Damon. I said I remember you from the early days of WVOX, WFAS. I remember you from Noel's show, and I'm like, and I've been watching your progression. I don't always get, because I'm so busy. I'm the editor. I do all the right. I don't sleep. So, but I do pay attention to those who are doing things, and I've been watching your progression over these 6 years, and I'm definitely proud of you, young man. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep making a difference. Keep. It's good to see. It's like. Some of those older, I ain't ancient or nothing, but some of those older guys love to see that there's some young people, you know what I'm saying, about the
absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
For those, let me just. I want to read out because I'm not going to remember this. I just want to read out some of Devon's titles. President of the New York State Young Democrats, Chair of the Youth Caucus for New York State Democratic Committee, New York State, Executive Director of the Westchester County Committee, Northeast Regional Director for the Young Democrats of America. He's also a professional master mixologist, freelance campaign manager.
I much like AJ, I don't sleep either. Too much work to be done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, congratulations on all your successes.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. I appreciate it so much.
So, go ahead, let's kick it off, Lorraine.
You know what? I want to start with the county because this is Black Westchester.
Let's do it.
You are officially the executive director of the Westchester County Democratic Committee.
This is true.
What does that mean?
It means that I am essentially I do all of the execution. Anything that the county believes should be done, whether it's leadership with our new chairwoman, Suzanne Berger from the town of Greenberg, or if it's anything that the body believes is necessary, I assist and help with the secretary, the treasurer, the first vice chair, and the chair, and I execute all the plans that we need to get done. And I am the right hand to Suzanne. I am the left hand to everybody else. So I get CC'd on every email. I send out emails throughout the night. And honestly, I communicate with each and every chair to the point where they're already tired of me. So the executive director does almost a little bit of everything. If I ever wanted to run for chair, I now know what to do to get there because as executive director, I am getting a firsthand experience and a firsthand lesson on how to properly run a county committee.
So if I wanted to run for a county seat, do I go to you or do I go to Suzanne?
Well, first, if you're running for a county seat, you should definitely check with your town, village, or city chairs, and pick their brains. I know you're from Yonkers, former councilwoman, so it's definitely reaching out to Tom Meyer and see what he thinks, and then also.
No, I'm not saying me. I'm not saying me per se. I'm saying anybody. I'm not running for anything.
Of course, but I'm saying if you were from Yonkers, you would reach out to Tom Meyer, senior. And then you
have the conversation with Tommy Meyer. And Tommy Meyer have the conversation with you.
It could go either way. You can come to Suzanne and I, and we would facilitate a conversation with Tom Meyer Sr., or you come to Tom Meyer Sr. and he'll facilitate the conversation with the rest of us. We really work in conjunction and hand in hand with our our city, village, and town committees. So we are the combination of them. Our body is their individual bodies. So that's how that works. And we really try not to too much overstep, but we do, county legislators are important to us. Next year will be a very busy year for the county committee. We have George Latimer up. We have Tim Idoni up. We're also going to have every single seat for county legislator up. So it's going to be a busy year for us.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do this. I got my hands. I can't free both my hands. We don't have in the radio station. We have an applause button. We don't have an applause button. But in sign language, you have to use both your hands. This is applause. Yeah. This is applause and say for both. Yeah, with both your hands. Yeah. So we're clapping for you. This is a clapping. We don't have to do some clap noise though. But yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, definitely. Well, so what got you into, there's not a lot. First of all, how old are you? For people that don't know.
I am roughly a couple months shy of the age of 30. And I'm
young man.
Okay. So what made you want to get into politics at this age? I mean, at an early age. There's a lot of people in your generation that don't want nothing to do with politics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what made you want to get engaged?
Honestly, it really was understanding and learning more about it. You know, I learned a lot about politics. I admired a lot of local politicians, you know, but the real understanding of it was I was a very people person. You know, in elementary school in Trinity in New Rochelle, Trinity Elementary School, I had a lot of teachers, you know, referred to me as the mayor. I was a personal person. You know, I loved talking to folks. If someone was in trouble, I wanted to be there helping that person. I wanted to be a part of fixing a problem or creating a solution. And everyone started calling me the mayor. It was, hey, the mayor's coming. You know, it was all a funny joke until one day I looked up and I said, what the hell does the mayor do? So I really educated myself and learned what the mayor does, and then learned about county legislator. And then when I got to middle school at Isaac E. Young, we had a really good civics program, and I got into politics, or at least school politics. At Isaac E. Young, I was the 6th grade and 8th grade class president. Through them, I got to be a county legislator for a day. I got to be a mayor for a day, and I got to experience firsthand somewhat of the troubles and the excitements that the mayor goes through. I cut a ribbon before I was in high school. I did a lot of the ceremonial things. I didn't have much of the headaches that our local governments have because I was only there for a day. I think everything, you know, the stars were aligned the days that I walked in. But, you know, I was a county legislator for a day. I was a mayor for a day. And I really learned firsthand about sitting in the chair and being in the seat. And then I educated myself in high school even further, learned about Shirley Chisholm, and then I learned all about bringing a folding chair to the table. So once I got to college, it was, you know, full steam ahead, college, Young Democrats. And then once I left college and entered into the Young Democrats, it was full steam ahead, no looking back. This is what I knew I wanted to do, not because I wanted to be elected, because I wanted to be effective and helpful in the community that raised me. You know, they say a village raises a child. And, you know, I had my mom and my dad. I was mainly raised by my mother and my grandmothers. My dad is in my life, just wasn't fully the way I thought I was expecting him to be. But you learn how to adapt. And then the community surrounding this is New Rochelle really raised me. And I've learned so much. New Rochelle has given me chances. You know, when we first started talking, we talked about Bill O'Shaughnessy and WVOX, another great chance for me to find my step and learn something and experience something. I know AJ and Damon, you guys have your own show there. It was just shy, I think, you started a couple months before I left. And I was so devastated to hear that I did not have an opportunity to produce and help you guys out with your show. But I've made so many great connections through Whitney Radio, and I'm blessed for it. But to answer your question and to wrap this up, really, I learned from a young age civics. I was listening to your show. I know we don't teach it as much in schools anymore, but I learned about it because people took the time out to really put some things in my ear and, you know, whisper some things. And then I went home and learned about it. And then I experienced those things firsthand. And then I knew exactly what I needed to do with my life.
You made my case that I make often, the importance of teaching civics, not just to educate. You know, you come out with a young educated electorate. You know what I'm saying? Informed voters and engaged. You know, because we have a lot of young people that don't want to get involved, but unnecessarily. I was on a Zoom call recently about a candidate that's going to be running for office, and one of the things she was saying is the reason she's running is a lot of people there, they don't know what the job is. They don't understand the job and the position and the title and you know, what they're supposed to do. And, you know, we need people in there that do. But we definitely need our young people, because movements with the Black Lives Matter, you know, back in the civil rights, we just lost John Lewis. But if you look back when he was crossing the bridge, he was in his it was him and his brother. He was 16 or something like that. Like when he got involved with Martin Luther King, you know what I'm saying? He was 16, and
he met Dr. King while in college. Yeah.
Right, and he was. It's the young people that move us forward. You know what I'm saying? Or y'all are the future. So it's good to have young people engaged in what's going on and learning, and you definitely represent that. Thank you. The wait, isn't one of your username the Prince of 914 or something like that? Was it?
Yeah.
Yes. Because I see that. Yeah, I see that all the time.
While I was at
when you said
WVOX,
people calling you the mayor, I always see the Prince. Yeah.
So while I was at WVOX, I actually I created this character called the Prince of Westchester, and it just stuck, and I kept going, and no one told me to stop doing it, so I kept it going. And I'm gonna have to change it sooner or later, but I love it. I love it.
Well, with that name, I'm glad that you got it, because one day you will be the equivalent of the king. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
here's hoping.
we need our leaders. Yeah, we need our leaders, We got to start,
Absolutely.
But you're off to a good start. I mean, I don't know half of the stuff you do, but I know everywhere I go, people like I said, when I went to Noel's show on FAS.
Yeah.
One of the things she was telling me, you got to meet. She was talking about you. You got to meet Javon. You got to meet this one. You got to meet that one. And she was bigging you up. And then I was somewhere else, and they were like, "Yeah, do you know Javon?" And I was like, "Oh yeah!" And like, your name is through the account. People know who you are. People are watching.
I've honestly been blessed to have so many great mentors in my life. Noelle Delaco is like a sister to me. I don't necessarily know where I would be if it was not for her guidance and leadership through some very difficult and tough times. So I'm glad that she's praising me, but she helped build the person that she praises. So shout out to her.
Yeah, she had me come up before COVID, come up and speak to the College of Westchester for their Black History program. It was me, the mayor of Peekskill, and Michelle Nichols, the head of Girls Inc. Westchester.
Yes.
The executive director, I guess, and it was that was definitely I definitely enjoyed that. Yeah, I was supposed to go back up again, but then COVID hit, and then nobody went nowhere after that. So,
no. Guys, I've been watching your show, and I know you had the young lady from the Working Families Party on WFP. I want to just shout out to the WFP family. They do some great work in their own party, and then they also do some great work extending into the Democratic Party. We really do need them, and I think they need us as well. They really help tap into the progressive and the really democratic principles that we sometimes forget we have. So shout out to them. I know you guys had a super robust conversation, and I really just want to give you guys some kudos, if I can, on bringing on an array of voices. You have 1 second you have the state leader for the WFP, and then 2 seconds later you have the New York State Young Democrats president on, and the two are, although two different parties, one of the same minds. It really, really is great that you guys are bringing on so many different voices, and I really appreciate that.
So Javon, my brother, you could whisper in some of those Democrats' ear to lower the state mandate. so they can put it back to 50,000. Offline, brother, offline. But you can say, "Hey,
I will do what I can for you, Mr. Jones."
So we can keep these. Yeah. I was laughing. I was like, "Damn, he's falling right into it, right?" but all love, man. It's all love. But we need these minor parties, man, and I think I know you it's above your grade level, brother. I get it, but we need these minor parties to continue to do to do the work that they do, and we need them to stay around, and that is going to be a major uphill battle for a lot of minor parties come around election time, man. just to survive. And I think we got to just have the conversation. We just because if we support them and we know that they support a lot of the candidates that's on the Democratic ticket. Now, I mean, one hand should wash wash another, man.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, they played a massive role in a lot of, and I'm just putting my young Dem hat on for a second. They played a tremendous and massive role in helping elect young people to office, which is necessary. AJ said, we need the young people in. Well, we also got to embrace the young people. And that's one thing I intend to do as executive director for the county. But that's one thing I've been doing for years as a leader in the Young Dems for the state. There are so many young, talented individuals. Mondare Jones, as everyone, since we're in Westchester, everyone knows who he is. Right. Everyone loves his enthusiasm and embraces that. But we have young people all throughout the state. Michelle Hinchy upstate in the capital region is a young woman running upstate. Richie Torres over in the Bronx, young person. Yes. Richie Torres is the definition of young gets it done, because he started at such a young age as a council person in the city, which was almost unheard of. And then he's now taking his talents from council to Congress. Young people, this is what we're talking about. Look at what AOC did in the Bronx, and Queens. We're looking at an energized electorate that is embracing young people. We just need to ensure that the parties are also embracing young people. AJ said we are the future. I've stopped people, and the only reason I didn't stop AJ is because I love him. We stop people and say, listen, we're not the future.
We're now.
We're now. Because you need a snap.
Very good.
You need young people at this very moment. The time and the time shift is shifting, it's changing. And it's so necessary to bring young, energetic people into the fold, not just into the party, but into elected spaces, into chambers and halls of government, because that's where all the effect happens. That's where change happens. Bringing them into Congress, bringing them into mayor's office. Kamal Johnson upstate in Hudson, New York, young black man in Hudson, New York. The mayor of Ithaca, half black, young person from upstate. New York is really the driver right now of endorsing and embracing young people and putting them in chambers and positions of power to make a real difference, an honest to good real difference. And they're bringing our voices to the table, which we were laughed at. I love Shirley Chisholm. She said, bring a voting chair. Many of us have brought a voting chair to those tables, and our ideas still have yet to make it to the table. But now we have electeds in places where they not only bring our voices to the table, it's a priority now. We're going to do this. Either you're going to help us, work with us, or get the hell out the way while we steamroll this ahead.
Absolutely.
We rather you with us. This is the energy.
You have no way of knowing that I'm working on a book on the generational shift. And everything you just said right now, I'm literally going to play this and dictate all of that and add that. What you just said.
As long as you spell my name correct, we're good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course. Exactly. But I just what you just said, that's perfect. Like, if you knew that I was working on this, you just gave me, you just lit a fire under me just now.
I gave you a whole chapter. I want to be credited. Make sure you get my good side for the photo. And we'll be okay.
Absolutely. I'll make sure you read it. I'll send you whatever I wrote, before, so you get to see it. But yeah, man, we need. And when I say you are the future, and I don't mean that your time you have to wait. I mean, I'm 54. I'll be 55 in a couple of months. I would love to, be a John Lewis, and I'm doing this to the day I'm out the door, and I live that long or longer. But you are the future of whatever this is going to be. It's not going to be us. I mean, we're doing what we're doing now, but you're going to be the future of wherever this ends up going, because it usually goes beyond what we can imagine. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I mean,
that's what I say. You are the future. You know, like you
What's your ultimate goal? What's your ultimate goal, Javon?
Ooh, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love to represent the great District 16 in the halls of Congress, and
where would that be for those that don't know? I'm sorry.
So and that's right now is Jamal Bowman. Incoming Jamal Bowman, outgoing is the Honorable Elliot Engel. I would love to go to Congress. I would love to go to Senate. I would love to make effective change for the people in my community, the people that raised me, for the people that built me to the person that stands before you today. That I think that is the end game. But while I'm still preparing myself for that venture, it's really building the party to make it inclusive. Honestly, really and truly, that's my goal right now: inclusive and diversity, bringing unique voices, an array of voices to the party, because we're missing that in a lot of places. And I'm glad I got to, through this opportunity as being the ED, bring a new voice and bring a young Black voice to the table, which we haven't. I mean, I'm not going to say we haven't seen. Tajon Nelson, who is, in my eyes, brilliant. I absolutely adore her. She was a young person that came into the county party under Reggie Lafayette and has stayed and has really shaped and begun to shape and help shape a county party that is inclusive, so I can step in and help her and build from what she's begun and take her lead and run with it as well. So that's the goal now and the goal in the future.
Can I say something, Damon, before you do?
Of course.
I wanted to say something about what you said earlier, but what you just mentioned about Tajon, my problem with, if anything, with Reggie Lafayette was my same problem with Ernie Davis and Maureen Walker. Like, they hold these positions for a long time, and they don't always groom somebody. Like, I believe in Mount Vernon, we wouldn't have the controller problems if Maureen Walker had. I mean, Maureen would have endorsed her number 2, Javon Boxhill. If Reggie would have endorsed her, like, step back, don't run, but pushed her, and put his support behind her, we would have younger blood to go forward. And I think that's what's problem. You talked about the young people, speaking to the young people and reaching them. That's the problem with the older generations. Sometimes they want to hold on so long. And then, so they told my generation to hold up, wait your turn, wait your turn, wait your turn. And then your generation's like, the hell with that. We're not, my generation didn't really fully get our turn. And y'all are like, y'all just gonna kick in the door, like B, kicking the door, waving the 4-4. I'm coming through.
Coming through one way or another. It's either you're gonna allow us to plead our case, or you're gonna stand in our way. And we don't want to. We're not here to be rabble rousers. We're not here to turn the party upside down. We're not even here to cause trouble, bad trouble. We're always here to cause good trouble. But we're here to really ensure that the voices of our generation and our peers and those under us are heard and understood, because right now you're seeing the generation of 9/11, and I say that because I know exactly where I was when 9/11 happened, but people 6 years younger than me can't say the same. So I'm under the belief that the generation of 9/11 will not only protect the generations before us, but we're going to prepare for the generations after us. And we're really taking that into consideration. Say what you want about AOC, but she is pushing agendas for the now, which will affect the future in a dramatic way. The Green New Deal environmentally prepares us for years to come. Years to come. We're talking generations, because there'll be an earth to actually protect and live upon. So, young people really are going to be the next John Lewis's. The young people are going to be the next Nancy Pelosi's. These are the people. Young people will be the next Chuck Schumer's. John Lewis, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they started their political careers as young Dems. A lot of people don't know that. Chuck Schumer, I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to speak to him, but I consider him a good friend. every time we talk, he tells me the story of how he got his start while he was up in Massachusetts at college, protesting the war. But he did it as a young person. He did it as a registered young Democrat. We need to have the now registered young Democrats pushing through and becoming the next Chuck Schumer, the next AOC. AOC needs help. We gotta send help to the squad. And New York did that. We're gonna send Mondaire Jones. We're gonna send Jamal Bowman. We're gonna send these energized young activists, advocates to the halls of power where change is decided. Beautiful.
The room where it happens.
Hey, listen, I'm sitting here listening to this brother. He's the next congressman in one of these districts. I'm going to tell you this right now. But you know what? And
he's Mitch McConnell's worst nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, there's two things, right? I'm really disappointed. Tajon should have been chair.
That's what I'm saying.
And Reggie and everybody else, they dropped the ball, right? And you know, brother, you know, you don't, please just look straight when I say some things so you don't get phone calls about it, right?
He's trying to get me in trouble.
Was you agreeing with Damon? Right? But you know, but I'm just saying that, you know, because you picked her up, AJ picked her up, and I was upset, right? Because they had an opportunity to one, make history, and one, put somebody in there that knew what the hell they were doing. That's, you know, and that was that sister. All right.
Let me just remind folks that we didn't lose Tajon.
No.
is still our secretary. She still, you know, has a hefty hand in the county party. She's still at the county board of elections. She's still relevant, and she's still present.
Exactly.
So we didn't lose Tajon. I want to tell you that now before I get the phone calls. Wait,
Well, did she even run? Did she run?
She did.
Okay.
You know, and you know, and I was kind of upset because I think she would have done that position justice. The second thing, man, you know, we're looking at the AOCs, we're looking at the Mondairs, we're looking at the Jamals, we're looking at the other brother that won in the
Bronx,
right, in the congressional district,
Richie.
right,
Richie
and we're seeing a lot of this, and we're, you know. But also we're also seeing, you know, a pushback of the old guard in the Democratic Party to some extent in these primaries, you know, because, you know, these people were not supported. They were not supported by the old guard. In your position, my brother, you know, are you going to play? You know, is there going to be a tightrope? Because there's still a group, right, of the better word, I mean, lack of a better word, the old guard, right? You know, and that really don't want the AOCs, don't want the Mondaire Joneses, don't want the Jamal Bowmans to be a part of the Democratic Party or have some.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Stronghold. You know, and is that going to put you? I mean, because what you're saying, you know, you're saying some great stuff, right? You're saying some real progressive stuff. You're saying some real progressive change that is in the party. But the reality is, right? So these progressive, even Biaggi, right? You know, I mean, you know, the reality is that there are certain people that are still in control of the party that don't want to see what you're talking about. So you know, I just got to bring it up because you brought it up and it was good, but the reality is there are some people that don't want to see what you're talking about.
I mean, the reality is there are some people that don't want to see me in any position. There's that reality in almost everything we do, right? But I'm not alone as the young voice on the county committee, there are a number of other young people who will back me and work with me to push youth into leadership. You saw
Good
a record
people too.
number
Good people.
and good people. Yeah, you saw a record number of young people actually get up and run for something. In Westchester, we saw a large number of young people stand up, follow the leads of those before them, and seek office. Alex Rothmeyer out of White Plains ran hell of a race, for the 93rd Assembly District, which was previously held by David Buchwald. Ran a hell of a race. And when you look at that and then you look at Mondare, you know that it's a possibility. It's not just a dream that a young person has. It's at an arm's length of becoming a reality. And I'm sure there'll be some pushback. I'm sure. I'm expecting. I'm ready
Have you had any pushback yet?
I have not. I cannot say I have.
Well, not that you know about.
Love and support.
Yes, not that you know about yet.
Not that I know about. But
because there be the pushback from behind the scene that you don't get to know yet. Then you find out it's been going on for a couple of years now.
As ED, there's very little things that I don't know.
Yeah.
So are you following your agenda, or you are following their agenda, or are you guys have the same agenda?
I was elected. I was elected by the county committee's district leaders. I'm going to follow what the folks that elected me to do, but I'm also not going to be blinded by the lights and the sounds and the bells and whistles. I understand I'm coming in as a young Black man this is the first time a young Black man has ever stepped into the county role, into this position as ED. Tejon built a map. I'm going to build footsteps. And through that, we're going to really open the door for more young Black leadership, first of all, but also open the door for just young leadership in general. I'm going to come in with my ideas. They're going to be shiny. They're going to be new. They're going to be progressive. They're going to be liberal. And I think y'all know that I have absolutely no problem getting my voice across and getting my voice through. And if that means I'm sitting at a table until 11 p.m., well, I got nothing else to do. Let's have this conversation. Let's do this now. Let's not table it until next meeting and then table it to the next meeting and then table it to the next meeting until we forget about it, because I'm not going to forget about it. Let's have the conversation. This is what we need to do. This is why I believe we need what we need. And if you disagree, explain it. I'm going to come to the table. Compromise is a real thing, guys. And I'm not a stranger to it. I'm not a stranger to it, but I'm not going to just sit here and lose my entire self to match someone else who doesn't necessarily believe everything I believe in. There's compromise. There's a happy medium, and I will do my best to work with each and every county chair, and each and every vice chair, secretary, treasurer, whoever it may be, to really ensure that young people are heard. I ensure that my personal life agenda is understood, because a lot of you guys, AJ, Damon, you guys have probably been in my shoes before me. And, when it comes down to being a young Black person, no one understands it except for a young and old Black person. An old Black person who was young, and a young Black person who is experiencing it now. And I'm telling you, it's not getting easier. You would think, exactly. You would think it gets a little better. It still sucks out here. When I tell people my story, they're shocked. So I'll regale you just a little bit. So I was stopped and frisked in Manhattan. We're talking East 19th Street. We're talking blocks away from Grand Central Station. Stopped and frisked. And a lot of people don't know this. I actually got my start in acting and I was still performing, and I was still acting, and still doing musical theater at the time. And I got stopped and frisked. And I was on my way to rehearsal in the city, and I was listening to the show that we were doing, which was Cabaret. And I'm listening to it and walking around. I'm wearing a college sweatshirt on, and I have my hood up. It was chilly outside. It's the middle of September when September was actually the fall and not just an extension of the summer. And I was stopped and frisked randomly. The most random thing, not bothering a soul, bopping to my musical theater, and literal harassment from the NYPD. Shocked, dismayed, did not know what to do for the rest of the day. It was insane. And when I tell you insane, I really do mean insane, because I was not expecting that level of harassment from people I've always thought highly of. I thought cops were there to serve and protect. And I think there's a lot of good cops out there, but I think I've unfortunately had my share of running into the wrong ones throughout my years of experience. And I hope that I don't have to do that again. But I can't forget my own personal agenda, because I can't forget the experiences that I've worked on. I can't forget who I am, what I've done, what things have done to me. I can't forget those things, because it's why we all do this, right? It's exactly why we all do this. It's why we live this life, and it's hell sometimes, but it's still necessary. It's still, I can't change my past. I can better my future, and I can better the future of younger people so they don't have to experience the same thing.
I have a question for you, but before your question,
Sure.
Lorraine, with the old comment, remember, you're just months younger than me, and you're older than David. So I just wanted to throw that out there with the old comment.
Man.
Let's put that in perspective. Secondly, I wanted to say, the one of the benefits COVID has, you got to find a shining star in everything. Unlike WVOX and unlike in the mix where we do the show, we're not literally to a time. So we, when we got good interviews like this, we can extend it a little bit to continue the conversation. Now, the question for you is, we were talking about young people and having to engage the young people. What would you say to your older counterparts and leadership, what they need to do to engage the youth? Why that is important? How can they engage? Because some of them just don't know. Oh, they forgot. But how do they engage the youth, and why they need to, and what the danger is by not engaging them? Speak to that.
So I would tell my older counterparts as simple as this. When you were my age, you were looking for a seat at the table. You found your seat. I need you to help the next generation find theirs. Because without them, your legacy is nothing but a speck in history. You need someone to take the reins right after you're done. You need someone who's not going to pause your legacy, but continue it. And I'll tell them this, listen, Donald Trump has been the greatest reason why you need to help elect the next generation. We could have had a continuation of a lot of President Obama's good, healthy legislation. But instead, we rolled back those healthy legislations, those good things that he did in office those many years. And what we got accomplished in 8 years was undone in 4 years.
3, yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Even less, right? Even less.
It was undone in 3.
Even most of it was undone in the first year through executive orders.
Right.
And that's another story. But let Donald Trump be your example as to why you need the next generation. You need to build the next generation because you don't want to pause your legacy. You don't want your legacy rolled back. and you want to ensure that your kids and your grandkids have the same opportunities that you had. And without the generation between your grandkids and you, there's nothing. There's
Exactly.
nothing. There's opportunity to fail, and Democrats don't need to fail right now. Democrats need to succeed at every level.
Can I just add to that? I think Democrats need to listen to the grassroots, because I don't, with all respect to Hillary Clinton, they did not listen to the grassroots that in those states that needed to be won, or people took it as the lesser of two evils to the point, and I tell everybody, I truly believe if Bernie Sanders was the nominee, he would have beat Trump. Regardless of his agenda was far more to the left than Hillary was, and he forced Hillary to the left through the primary, and he might have been the Democratic nominee if some of the states had open primaries, because a lot of the independents that had his following couldn't vote in the Democratic
He actually
primary.
won in all this. I think almost all of the states that did have open primaries. He won in all of those states.
He really he showed us where we missed the mark.
Yeah, exactly. And I think moving forward, I think the Democratic Party on a local level and at the national, they have to listen to the people that's on the street, right? They have to listen to the people that have these conversations with the grassroots that that they ordinary don't get to see all the time, right? And so I agree with you, but they have to listen, man, and I'm glad that you're there in your position to make them listen, and be able to put a lot of these ideas and what you see as a young person, because believe it or not, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I was in my late 30s and early 40s, they didn't listen, right? And it was a struggle. It was a struggle. So, I'm glad that brothers are like you were there. I'm glad Tejan is still working within the party and doing what she needs to do, because we have people now that's going to give a different look and different way the party needs to go. We don't get it right now, we're never going to get it right.
We're going to get it right. I mean, listen, we about that life, as I would like to say. We're going to get it right.
I say that because I'm an old man, and just from experience, when you look at things, you're like, man, if they don't get this, if they don't take this opportunity now, we got to fight for another 30 years to get back to the opportunity.
We're ready for the fight. We have a great chair. I do want to commend. I want to commend the former chair. 16 years is a long time. He's done some work. He's done some great work, commendable work. But Suzanne Berger is also about that life. She's ready for the fight. She has hit the ground running. She's only been elected for 2 weeks, and we're already doing a fundraiser for Biden and Harris. We did a rally earlier today with Pete Harcum and Stephanie Keegan, who are running up county. We're not taking a breath. This is what I was talking about earlier. We're doing nothing but continuing and improving while continuing the work done in prior. We're going full steam ahead, and we're not stopping. The county committee is ready. The state Young Democrats in every county is ready. When I say we're ready, we point us to the direction of anything, and we got you. We are so prepared and so ready to lead. It's not even a joke.
One of my favorite songs in the musical, the Hamilton, the play, the musical, was when the Aaron Burr character was saying that he was always talking about Hamilton, and he was saying he wanted to get into the room where it happens. We really don't know what happened because we weren't involved. We weren't let into the room where it happens. Well, I say that, I use that to lead up to this. I do wish Suzanne Berger the best, but I am so encouraged that you will be in the room where it happens to make sure that our voice is heard in that room, and we're represented in that room. You know what I'm saying? No matter how great a job she does, you will be in the room where it happens to make sure we're represented. And I'm that encourages me a lot.
Thank you. I mean,
You know,
I'm gonna do my best to make y'all proud. That's all I can say.
okay, I would be remiss if I didn't say you're the executive director for all people. So don't forget your brown brothers and sisters, because we're here too.
I will never.
We need to be at that table. You got Jonathan, you got a whole bunch of good people in there now.
Jonathan's a great friend of mine. I look forward to working with him and serving with him. We're going to do great things. You know, when I said we have a long list of young people on this board, I meant it. You know, Jonathan from the Greenberg, Andrew Booter from New Rochelle, Tajon Nelson from Mount Vernon. There's a squad. In the Westchester County Committee, we have our own squad. And we're ready as the congressional squad to get things done. I can't say it more, you know, how prepared some of us are to really lead. And I thank you guys for your sentiments. And I really do pray that I do everything I can to really, really make y'all proud. And I hope when I come back in a year, if invited again, y'all have excellent words to say about the job that we've done over the next year.
Brother,
just so we clear,
the open door policy for you, man.
Right. Just so we clear, I do include Jonathan in that, and when he's on the show, I will tell him as well. You know what I'm saying? I do include that.
You got a whole bunch. You got quite a few Latinos in there.
I got that, and when they're on the show, I will tell them. But I was directing it to him.
But I'm not asking you. I'm talking to Javon.
Yeah, yeah, we're glad. I'm sorry, I cut Damon off when Damon was saying the open door policy. We hope that you utilize us as that, you know, place to get that voice out. And again, I don't know if you write anything and you just want to write an editorial every now and then to address certain issues from your generation, because we need voices. We need voices from your generation to, you know, to keep this thing going. So anytime you feel free that you want to jot something down or something hits you, you know, please, you know how to contact me. Please,
absolutely.
Get it to me,
I can stop sending my op-eds to the Times and send it to you guys now.
Absolutely,
I know
brother.
it's printed.
Just add a song, man. Just add, and you can show the rest of the county board that it's okay to come on People Before Politics.
Yo, listen, I'm not gonna
right. It's all right.
I remember y'all when y'all was at your raw, when y'all really started going at it. And maybe the first year when y'all in the studio, and I was like, whoo, these guys, I can't go on that show just yet. I got to work up to that. Boy, let me tell you, I've been wanting to come on this show for years. But when y'all first started, I was like, let me wait a minute. Let me get my bearings straight. Let me get a position where I can go on and say something. But listen, you guys keep it real. You guys keep it funky. Y'all keep it raw. Y'all not scared. You guys come with what you know. You don't come out your ass like a lot of other people. And it's something that a lot of people like myself admire because I love the real. I love the real. Let's be real about things. Let's be serious about things. Let's have some fun. As you know, I like to joke sometimes, right. But when I'm in the room, I become a whole other person. I'm here doing a job for the people that elected me. And that's what that is. But you guys have made a reputation of being real and raw. And if some people can't handle it, well, that's on them. They're just not as real as y'all. But I will definitely tell my friends in the county committee to come on. You guys are a hell of a great time, and I'm having a blast. I really am.
Hey, Hey, Javon, man, and this is like I'm not on Sundays, a lot because I'm off tonight, so I'm actually, people forget that I do work, right? And I think tonight was a beautiful night, man. We've had two intelligent young black people on tonight from different political parties in Westchester County, right? It just shows and which that not only we have the black vote, but we have black power, right? That we can and let me tell you, somebody's gonna catch it because I caught it tonight, and other people are gonna catch it and say, wait a minute, man. We're seeing young black people in control of political parties in Westchester on black media. You know what that means, man? You know the power that we have to change our reality and our lifestyles and our communities. Like, we can do it. We ain't gotta beg nobody, right? We don't have to beg the racist folk to say, Black Lives Matter.
Talk about it.
We can show that Black Lives Matter to ourselves by taking control of our destiny, man. This is where it's at, brother. This is where it's at.
Listen, there's two digital platforms that I try to never miss. One is People for Politics, and the second is Uncle Roland. So y'all coming through on the come through. So I'm just blessed to be here, man. And I'll piggyback off that and say, when you show that there are young black people in positions of power, you show that Black lives matter on a whole nother scale.
Right.
I've spoken at, I think, about 7 rallies and protests now, in multiple capacities. And people are really understanding the message. People are really getting it. People are looking to educate themselves on a level that we haven't seen before. And it's a blessing. Mm-hmm. It sucks that it took them this long to do it, but let's not harp on the past, and let's get excited about the future that we could have with new partners who are as equally energized as we are.
Yes.
You had a couple of comments. Keisha Skipper said, "Hey, Javon," and Lois Bastian at Bastian said, "Bravo, Mr. Richards." And there were a few others that I can't pull up right now that they had mentioned your name. So people are checking you out and agree. Some people have agreed with some of the comments that you made. We're just looking forward to see where God takes you and the work that you do and all of that. And this is part of the job I enjoy, when I get to document your story.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is part of the job that I do like. And I get to document people like your story. And for people, hopefully there's some people that may not have known you that now know who you are and know that. And for everybody listening, if you don't know, look at the spelling of his name, check him out, look for him. If you have not seen his name or heard his voice, you will. You know what I'm saying? So if you're seeing this for the first time, make note of this young man right here. You're going to see a lot of him. And I'm proud to be involved in helping to bring that to people. Anything we didn't ask you that you want people to know, maybe social media so they can follow you or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So as AJ alluded to earlier today, my name on social media is not Jovan. It's at the Prince 914. It was a character I created some time ago that it stuck. So I absolutely love the character. I love who I get to become when I get to play that character every once in a while. So at the Prince 914. Also, if you want to follow my mixology journey, for those that don't know, I am a master mixologist and a training sommelier. So liquor beverages. I've worked for companies like New York Yankees and the New Jersey Devils, and I've designed some of the beverage menus for the New York Yankee Stadium as well as the Prudential Center. So Senator Mixologist on Instagram to check out some of the creations I've made over the years.
So I can't let you just walk away now. You brought that up. Talk a little bit about that whole. How did that come about? Talk about that a little bit.
So my grandfather, my mom's side of the family, my mom's father's side of the family is from the great islands of the USVI, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas and St. John to be specific. And my grandfather was a humongous bartender back in the day, back in his day. And my mom learned from him. I learned from my mom. It is passed hands and generations. And I decided that I can't just learn from them. I have to be better than them because that's who I am. So they all stopped at bartenders and they won a couple competitions here and there. So I stepped my game up, became a master mixologist, and also won a couple competitions, and then started to design menus for humongous names like the Yankees and the Devils. And now they're like, hey, how do I make this? And they're forgetting, but they come to me because now I'm the master and I've surpassed the teachers. They're not too happy about it. But my mom generally always never forgets to tell me, you'll never forget where you learned it from and who you got it from. The talent came from here. You just decided to do more with it. And I was like, of course I did. That's the son you raised, baby. I can't just stop at one. I got to go for the gold. The silver is not great. Show me some of the gold.
Great. That's
Absolutely.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Hey, if you ever want to write an op-ed on drinking,
right? That's what I was gonna say. Maybe the holiday time, best
holiday drinks. What are great holiday drinks or something like that, man? Please,
I got you guys. I got you.
Please write something. I think people will enjoy that.
Got you.
I think people will definitely enjoy that. Now and then we all enjoy a good drink here and there.
Absolutely.
I quit. I had to. Javon. Javon. My son is. Can you hear me?
Huh?
It's coming in a little fuzzy. I'm gonna run to get my battery pack. Give me 2 seconds.
Did we lose him?
Hello? Where did it?
Did we lose him? I see Damon.
Is Javon still here?
That's what I'm asking you. Did we lose him?
Yeah.
I think his mic is muted. I don't know.
No, I gotta go upstairs real quick. Javon is changing his battery.
Huh?
Yep.
Javon.
Yep.
Javon, I just wanted to tell you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay. My son is your age. He's an African-American young activist in New York City. I mean, really, really big-time activist. He's not into politics, but he would be your counterpart because he's your shoulder in the streets. And I just want to say, as a mom, man, I'm proud of you. Very proud of you.
Got it. Well, I commend your son. I hope to see him in the fight when I take my fights to the city, and I hope we get to link up sooner or later. And I look forward to collaborating with him.
Yeah, we just want to thank you for coming on, for taking the time. I've learned to really be appreciative of time. I've had money, I've lost money, I've spent lots of money, I'll get money again. But the one thing I've learned that I'll never get back again is time. So I try to be appreciative of people's time. You didn't have to be here and you chose to. We greatly appreciate that. And we, again, express the open door policy. You want something that you want to discuss, you holler at us, we get you on. And then, just even if it's like an issue in the community that's going on and you want to weigh in on it, whether it was writing or being on the show, please utilize us, and we will continue to follow and support what you're doing, and anything we can do. Black Westchester People Before Politics, man, just call us, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I've been trying to get on this show, or wanted to get on this show for quite some time now. I'm glad I got to do it. I'm thrilled of how it went, and I will definitely be reaching out when the county committee or the Young Dems are doing some great things. I do want to tell people to look out for us. October 18th, the New York State Young Democrats are throwing a virtual Get Out the Vote Early rally because in New York State, because Democrats have won, because Democrats voted, Democrats won, we now have early voting. So folks out there, please, if you haven't voted by mail, vote early, get up the vote. Biden-Harris. We have so many great young people throughout the ballot upstate in Hudson Valley, and of course right here at home in our great county of Westchester. Please, folks, civic duty, yes, but civic responsibility more so. Get out the vote. Vote, vote, vote. If you do vote for Trump, just understand that you're going to get more of what you have. And nobody wants that. He's saying there's a threat to the suburbs, and he's right. There is a threat to the suburbs. It's him, and it's people like his cronies over there, Rob Astorino, or as the Westchester Dems call him, Dis Astorino. We don't need New York's translator in Albany. You know, Rob Astorino's job right now is to translate and soften the great things that his president says. We hear his president. We see his tweets. We know what's going on. Let's call that what it is. We know what's going on. We don't need a translator to tell us what he thinks he's trying to say. Trump is telling you what he's saying. We don't need Rob Astorino to translate it. What we need is Rob Astorino to get out the way of progression. And that's what Pete Harkin will do on November 3rd when Pete Harkin wins.
Absolutely. Damon, any last words?
Nah, man, I want to thank the brother for coming on and thank you, man, and thank you for doing what you do, and you're gonna continue to do it. Like AJ said, you're always welcome to come on the show, brother. You know, this is what this was about, man. This is a great show. I'm proud to see the two young, intelligent, young Black people, man, in control of politics, you know, and you know, y'all might be on a different car, but you're driving down the same road, and I think we have to realize that and work together, and you know, this is great, brother. Anytime, tell the county board, don't be scared. You had a lot of fun, man. They all come on. Shit, they're some of them going to watch the show. They tell them to come on, you know, we all right. We are.
I'll let them know. I'll let them know. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a phenomenal Sunday. Enjoy.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Enjoy.
Bye.
And that brings us to the close of the show. Any last words, David, Lorraine?
No, I think it was great, man. You know, I think it was great. I think it was great. You know, I enjoyed today's show. You know, I hope the Working Families Party, you know, people have options. You got new young leadership in the Democratic Party. You know, hey, you know, maybe freedom is around the corner. I don't know. We have to wait and see.
Well, we know the fight, whether it is or not. We know the fight is in good hands. We know the fight continues. We know that the work that we've done and those before us have done continues, and these young people don't look like they're going to drop the ball and they're going to advance the situation. So, and Damon, what you were saying, this is what we created this show to be. Today's show, this is one of the reasons we create. I mean, you know, we hold the elected officials' feet to the fire. We stamp out corruption and call it out and everything. But spotlighting, changing the narrative and spotlighting our young unsung heroes that's out there doing the damn thing that may not be getting a lot of media. You may not know their names, to give them a voice and give them a vehicle to speak, you know, on both our Black and brown communities. And this is what we created this for. And this was great. This was really great. Lorraine, any last words? Miss?
Yeah, I just want to remind people, well, not remind them, let people know to make sure they tune in on the 11th and 18th, because we're going to have a combined 6 judges 6 candidates for judges coming in. 3 of them are going to be Supreme Court judges, and it's important for people to get informed so that, you know, they'll know when they go to the voting place.
Yes.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out Damon and I tomorrow at 11 o'clock on WVOH.
Yep, 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Black Westchester Power Hour. I'm sure we'll be talking about some of the current. There's enough things to talk about. We'll be hitting on some stuff tomorrow. So you come check us out online and on WVOX, WVOX.com at 1460 AM. With that said, this is you could be doing anything else, but you decide to ride with us. We greatly appreciate it. This is another home edition of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, episode 279. The October issue comes out of the newspaper. The October 15th issue comes out this Friday, October 9th. Getting it out a week early. That means I won't be sleeping till Thursday. But the paper will come out though. Anybody who hasn't advertised or wanted to advertise, it's like Monday, Tuesday the latest. It's done. With that said, that's it. Until next week. Well, until tomorrow for the rest of y'all. But until next week, peace.
Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not